Hey everybody, it's the Cinnamon Cinephile, otherwise known as CinnCine, and I'm here with another episode of CinnCine Goes SyFY. And this week, I have my bestie, my OG, my foundational friend, my sister, Fran T from the Sci-Fi Sisters. How you doing, Fran?
Hi, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm
Well,
tickled. Tickled.
you tickled?
Yes.
Listen, when we decided what movie we were going to do, I said, there's nobody else that I can do this with because Fran, you have to understand, is someone that knows movies like I know movies. And I'm talking about classic, silent, whatever, whatever. Fran goes back there. We've been watching these movies because we're about the same age, and we've been watching these
Hmm.
movies since we were little. We've been watching them on, Ed Miller's Dialing for Dollars. We were watching them on late night, whatever. We've been watching them in the art house theaters or cinemas,
Hmm.
whatever, whatever. We've been watching these movies. So the movie that we decided to pick for you this week is called our favorite, our B classic. Yes, it's so bad, it's good. Queen from Outer Space. Okay. We just love this crazy ass movie, but Fran is the only other person that's even heard of this movie besides me. So we're going to talk about it today. And if you don't know this film, here is a little taste.
Voyages to the outer universe a reality. Satellite space stations in operation for landing and refueling.
Apparently, we have some deadly neighbors in outer space.
Captain, it's heading toward us.
And now the story of the fantastic adventure that befalls mankind's most daring crew of space explorers.
Not a sound. Not even the hum of an insect. Is this a dead planet?
Landing on an unknown planet, they are captured by long-limbed beauties. When they say, "Take me to your leader," and they take them to a creature like this, you know they're on planet Venus. And the queen of outer space is Zsa Zsa Gabor. The most talked about woman in the world knows what she wants on Venus, too.
Then we're the only men on the whole planet?
Yes.
Wow.
You'll see the revolt that brings the planet under the domination of strangely masked females who hate and fear the male animal.
Let me kill her now.
You're not only a queen, you're a woman, too. Let me see your face.
The savage horrors of fearsome mutated beasts. The war of the sexes, when voluptuous Venusians give battle to spacemen from Earth. The destructive might of incredible space rays that stop man from returning to Earth.
Prepare for maximum acceleration.
Okay, am I right or am I right? Are we right? Okay, we got CinemaScope, we got deluxe color, we got costumes, and we have Zsa Zsa Gabor. Now,
No.
I know all of you in the chat are going crazy, and you're like, Sabrina, why are you talking about this movie? Fran, why are we talking about this movie?
That's a, it's a, it's a, first of all, it has become a cult classic, a sci-fi cult classic, and deservedly so, because it is not your A movie. It's a B movie. It might be a C movie, but it's you guys. We're gonna go with the B movie.
It's a B.
And
Yes.
yeah, it's a B movie. And it's just, it's like the last movie you and I did together, Sabrina, was see what? I'm drawing a
Forbidden
blank.
Planet.
Thank you. Oh gosh, Oh, okay, y'all. Remember now, I'm 70. Okay, this is like that's the sublime. This is going away from the sublime a lot.
This is the ridiculous.
It is.
Um,
It is.
but
It
no,
is ridiculous.
the reason why I wanted to do this film, and it is a B movie, and I wanted to give a shout out to the people who created the B movies in Hollywood, because I have studied film for a while, and I even wrote a paper on the studio system. Like this is how geeky I am. So and my paper got an A, but I just uh, but the studio system of Hollywood is iconic. It is the thing that made Hollywood famous. And they just had this uh, protocols and procedures that they were just making these movies every week. They were just making movies like in a factory. It was the Hollywood factory. And so the B movie is usually the second movie. You would have a double
Double
feature.
bill.
You would have
Mm-hmm.
the A movie and then you would have the B movie coming out together. And so the B movies were substantial because you had to fill these theaters. Now, there were just hundreds of theaters all around the countries back in the 20s, 30s, 50s, 40s, 50s. And they it was like a maw. They just needed more content. Just like streamers need now, you needed these B movies back in the day. And so there were what we call the A studios. That's your MGMs and that's your Paramount, your Warner Brothers. But then you had this lower tier of theaters, of studios that were making these B movies, because they didn't have the money, they didn't have the budget, they didn't have the sets, and they were what was later known as Poverty Row.
Mm-hmm.
So this distribution, this studio that makes Queen of Outer Space is called Allied Artists, but it was really known as Monogram Studios. And Monogram Studios is one of the smaller players that was on Poverty Row. Now you could get off Poverty Row. Poverty Row also spawned Columbia Pictures. So Columbia Pictures made it off of Poverty Row, got some money, made a few movies. Monogram almost did it. 1940s, they had a film called Dillinger, and they almost got out of Poverty Row. It actually had an Oscar nomination, and they started to get some money and they could make some more movies. So in the 50s, we see them making a little bit more money. They weren't like as abject poor as they had been in the 20s and 30s when they were making the cowboy two reelers, and they had John Wayne. They had all these cowboy stars over there making all these little two reelers, and then they had the Bowery Boys. They also had Charlie Chan. So this studio was also a place where people went after they had been established stars and tried to jumpstart their career or kept their career going. So you had your Kay Francis, you had your John Bowles, Boris Karloff,
Mm.
Zsa Zsa Gabor. So, Fran, you love yourself some Zsa Zsa Gabor. Why do you love Zsa Zsa so much?
Jaja, y'all remember the infamous slap? Some of you already remember that she slapped the police officer.
She
That
slapped the
Jaja.
police officer.
She did. She slapped him doing a traffic stop. But there were, back in the 50s and 60s, there were these Gabor sisters. There were Magda, Jaja, and Eva. Eva was on Green Acres. She played the wife on Green Acres. They were three sisters and their mother, Jolie. So I'm going to give you the background. And it's this in a nutshell. The Kardashians of now were the Gabor sisters back in the 50s and 60s. They were
Totally.
they were famous for being
For being
famous.
famous.
That's right, famous for being famous.
Famous for marrying multiple times,
Oh,
famous for
20
just being
times
beautiful.
between the three of them. They were married 20 times. And I have to look back because I want to get it right now. Magda was married 6 times.
Wow.
Jaja was married 9 times. And Eva was married 5 times. Okay.
Wow.
So yeah, they
Was she married
between the
to why do I want to think she had something to do with Merv Griffin?
I don't think Merv Griffin.
Merv Griffin. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Merv
Somebody in
Griffin.
the chat look up Ava Gabor and Merv Griffin for me while we're singing dun 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 dun
Now,
dun. But
so
Okay,
Yeah.
so
So
let's get
that's
back to the movie here because that's what we're really
okay.
here to talk about. Okay, Queen
Okay.
of Outer Space. I'm going to give you the plot just in case you don't know this film, which I'm sure most of you don't.
Most of
Uh,
you don't.
Male astronauts crash on Venus and discover a planet ruled by a masked queen who has banned men. Zsa Zsa plays Talia, a rebel who wants love and men back. I don't need
Yeah.
nothing else.
What else?
Whatever. Now, okay, because I said before this was made at one of the Poverty Row studios, they didn't have a lot of special effects and graphics and things like that. So the beginning of this movie is hilarious because it is like a cartoon watching these special effects. Let it go. Just let it go. So when the beams start coming and the ship is caught in the tractor beam and everything is shaking and rolling, I mean just enjoy it. Just
Yeah.
go for the ride because this is just gonna be such a ride. And then the cool thing about this is that they, because of the low production cost, they borrowed from movies that had already been made. So, Fran, you and I, after watching this movie, I don't know 100 times, finally realized that the uniforms that the guys are wearing are the exact uniforms that they wore in
Forbidden Planet. Same color, even down to the
the
caps that they
caps.
had on. The caps that they had on.
They just took the uniforms and put them on
They
these
just put them
guys.
on these guys. Seriously, they did.
And not only the uniforms, they even took the outfits. I mean, Altira's really cute little short gold dress that, uh, um, what was it? Altira was played by Francis.
Bajaga?
No, who was the one that played Altira in Forbidden Planet. Her dress
Oh,
was
Anne
worn.
Francis.
Anne
Yeah,
Francis wore this really cute little gold dress that had that
yeah,
collar. Oh my
yeah.
God, I love that dress. And they just took that dress off of her and put it on Lisa Davis, who's
They
playing the
did.
second lead in this movie. And
Yes,
they
they
just
did.
don't even care. They're just like, oh, just take the dress and you wear it
Just
now.
bring us some other wardrobe. Have dues, shoes, colors. Just
Oh
bring
my
us
God.
all over here. We
I
can repurpose it.
listen, I am not mad at them too, because I love the fashion in this movie. And to really be truthful, there's a lot of the B movie people are not people that can't get into A. There just was like a lot of competition, and some of these people did make A-lister movies. In fact, the crew that does the production, the set decorator on this film is Joseph Kirsch. He won an Academy Award for doing the set decoration for Ship of Fools. He was also nominated for three other movies, including Journey to the Center of the Earth, The Slender Thread, and 1948's Joan of Arc with Ingrid Bergman. This man got nominated for doing the set decoration. So when you look at the sets in this movie, please don't laugh because they were doing the best they could with what they had. And I thought they
Hmm.
did a fantastic job. And this is what I love about filmmaking. This is what I love about Hollywood. You take some trash and you're gonna make a film with it. Like, hey
That's
kids,
right.
let's make a movie. So here comes Joseph Kish making the best he can with making lemonade out of lemons here. He's got
Hmm.
repurposed sets, repurposed everything. And I mean he's making the beta discriminate the beta disintegrator was like made out of cardboard. I mean, I was just like,
Of
wow,
course.
look at
Yeah,
this. But
yeah.
tell me, friend, when you watched this film, did you not think a million times that you were seeing something that must have inspired somebody that had made TOS, that had made Star Trek?
Of course. It look, the colors, the background, the storyline, the outfits. I mean, even though they were repurposed, the outfits were Trek. Because I think somebody who had something to do with Trek, big guy, saw this movie and said, let's do something in this vein.
Because those
I'm
guard
sure.
uniforms looked an awful lot like a horror's red dress.
Yes. And this was 1958, and the dresses were maybe 2 or 3 inches above the knee. And that was unusual for 1958.
Yeah. So we're gonna
With
have
the
Star Trek coming a
kitten,
few years
with the
later.
heels.
Yeah.
That's how.
The heels. Oh my God, with the see-through plastic shoes. Stop
Oh
it.
my gosh! And
Stop
when
it.
they, because when they first, caught them at the place when they took them prisoner, they came with ray guns and in heels to get these guys.
Okay.
Like, look at this.
They were wearing mini skirts,
Yeah.
see-through
Hmm.
heels, and they had ray guns. I was
Yes,
like,
they did.
what is not to love here? What
All three,
oh my
right there.
God. So we've got a lot of scenes that like I think you could make a drinking game out of this whole movie. So if you guys, and it doesn't have to be alcohol, okay? You can even play a card game, whatever. And any
Hmm.
scene that reminds you of Star Trek, you know what? You're gonna call it out because as soon as I saw them walk the captured men into the Queen's presence, what Star Trek episode did you think of right away?
Angel one, Angel
Boom!
one, the one where Riker showed his nipple.
Yes,
That
that one.
that one, the
Yeah.
nipple show.
Yeah,
Hmm.
the nipple show.
Yeah.
Although this is 1958, there will be no nipples
Yeah.
being shown here.
Yep.
No, I'm not doing that stuff. So
Just
yeah,
legs and thighs. That's all.
I mean, there was another scene where the captain. They just had to. I thought of there was another episode of Star Trek TOS, and it's called Stratos. When they were up in Stratos, the cloud dwellers or whatever.
Oh, the lady with the
Yes,
halter top.
I was totally seeing Stratos in a lot of the sets that were in this movie, and
Hmm.
they were captured in the room, and they were waiting. They were, here comes Zsa Zsa coming to break them out. I mean, where have you seen this before in a Star Trek? And so now they're doing a little pity patter, kitten heel running around in the sets, and I'm like, all I could think of was, the Armageddon one where they were gonna shoot the things that people had to report to. I mean, they were running through these sets like with these costumes on that were just ridiculous. I just kept thinking
Same
like this is
colors,
so Star Trek.
same primary colors, going through, except for the gowns. The gowns were
Oh,
sequined.
well, let's just talk about the gowns because we do have Miss Gabor in this one, and
Oh my
Miss.
God.
Listen, Zsa Zsa was Zsa Zsa. If I have another cat in my life, I'm naming her Zsa Zsa.
Jaja.
Absolutely, because I just love this woman. And one of the things about Zsa Zsa is she was famous for being famous, and she hung around with the beautiful people. And
Hmm. She did.
you're gonna find pictures of her hanging around with Audrey Hepburn, and she's like, trying to get in there with Givenchy. She's trying to do her thing. So when she gets this part, they use most of the budget for her clothes. And her clothes were designed for this movie. Unlike the others that were repurposed from all these other, other B movies, Zsa Zsa's clothes were original, and they actually let a former wardrobe supervisor named Irene Kane, who had been on Irma La Douce, she'd been on West Side Story, she'd been doing all the clothes for all these people. Like the wardrobe person is in charge of all the clothes. She's not designing the clothes, but she's making sure that everybody's wearing the right clothes, that they look right, and then she throws them in front of the camera. But they gave Irene Kane a chance to design some of the outfits for Queen of Outer Space. Yay! Poverty Row monogram film. Give Irene a chance. And so Zsa Zsa's costumes are original, but she's also being designed by Thomas Pierce, who also did a lot of other things on A movies. So, this is not a B movie because nobody had any talent. You got like Oscar nominees working on this. You've got people that have been around the block working on this. You've got people, who have been in a lot of movies. A lot of the cast that's in this movie, you've seen them in a million things. They were
Hmm.
hardworking actors. They're all in this. One other thing I want to talk about is that the second lead, Lisa Davis, who plays Matoya or something her name is, she's got the Altera dress on that Anne Francis wore in Forbidden Planet. Later on, it comes out that this film actually inspired Madonna's hairdo in Blonde Ambition Tour. That ponytail that she's wearing, Madonna said she got it from Queen of Outer Space. I'm like,
Space. There you go.
hey,
There you go.
this is why this film is important. But
It is. It is. The first time we see Jaja, I think she's supposed to be a scientist, but she's in
yes,
lab. She's in this lab with all this purple, all these colors and everything and stuff, with
look
smoke
like
and all this stuff.
look like
And
Spock and the medical
it
bit.
did. And she has on a gown. She's a scientist in a gown
She's a
in the lab.
scientist in a
in the lab working her behind off. Okay, yeah,
Looking
she's real smart
absolutely gorgeous. She never looks anything less than gorgeous in the entire movie, even when they're
in the
running through
whole
the
movie.
forest.
And she has, let's not forget, because they're from Hungary. Hungary. They're from Hungary. So she's the only one in the movie that has this accent.
The accent.
It's
It's a
not really
Venus
bad,
accent. It's a
that
Venus
accent.
accent.
It's not as bad as as Eva's, but it's there. So she's a
They played
accented.
that accent. They played those accents up. They really did.
They
But
did.
yeah,
They
Zsa
did.
Zsa in this one was just like, I just want to bring love back to the place.
She was. Y'all just say, look, I need a man. Y'all around here playing around.
Like,
I
I'm
need a
tired of this.
man.
Tired of this. I want a man.
I want
I
a
said, oh my
man.
God.
I got some women and got some women that just want to help me get a man.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, she
yeah,
had an organized group. The rebels were organized.
yes, they were
They
organized
were not playing in this. And these
at
women
all.
had already, in the story, these women had overthrown the men because the men had dragged them through war after war to the point where their cities had been totally destroyed. They were living on the edge of the jungle. They were just messed up on this planet Venus now.
Venus.
And to the point where the women rebelled, captured the men, put them on a moon prison, and took over the planet. I said,
That's right. That's right. Get them out of here.
get them out of
They're
here.
violent. They mess up people's faces and all that stuff.
So this screenplay really reminded me of a lot of other Star Treks because as soon as I heard the moon prison, there were like 3 or 4 Star Treks I went right to where we've had a moon prison sitting around somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
said they definitely watched this movie. Whoever wrote Star Trek watched this movie. Now, the source of this screenplay freaked
Hmm.
both of us out when we were watching the
Yes.
credits because we were like, who wrote this?
Ooh. Yeah.
Charles Beaumont. Fran, please explain who Charles Beaumont is for people that
Charles
don't know.
Beaumont wrote 22 episodes of The Twilight Zone.
Wow.
22 episodes. Great episodes. Okay. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding. When I saw the credits,
Yeah, we
Charles
both were.
Beaumont
Charles Beaumont wrote this? Now that we're
wrote
older and we know, I mean,
this.
before we were just watching this
Mm.
movie because we just like to
Yeah,
laugh and we did Zsa
yeah.
Zsa, the
Mm-hmm.
clothes, whatever, we were just into it. But now we're like, okay, we're going to sit here and we're going to do this, like, analyze this movie. And we're like,
Analytical thing here. And I
wait,
couldn't
Charles Beaumont wrote this?
Charles
And he's
Beaumont. So I had to, of course, cross reference to make sure it was the same person. And it
exactly.
is.
from a
It is.
from an outline from Ben Hatch. I mean,
Yeah.
another Oscar winner
There you go.
working with the
Mm-hmm.
Mankiewicz brothers. I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
what are you telling me? And so Charles Beaumont wrote this as a parody of what was going on in the 50s. And so, of course,
At that time.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
even with a kitschy, campy, I'm gonna make a parody. It's a satire. I'm just here for fun movie. There's always context of what is going on. I think if there's any theme I'm gonna run through my analyses of film, it's context. And so this film was made 1 year after Sputnik went up.
Mm-hmm.
And for
Mm-hmm.
those of you that don't know,
It
the
was
United States went into a frickin' tizzy when Sputnik went up because we thought for sure that the Russians were, well, they were ahead of us, and that we were now
mm-hmm.
going to be, bombarded with atomic bombs and the world was
Mm-hmm.
going to come to an end. I mean, we were really hysterical when Sputnik went up. And so one of the things that the Cold War was fighting, the propaganda of the Cold War was that America, and this is MAGA time, right? This is the time they want to go back to, was better than communism. And one of the reasons they said was better, one of the things they always put out there was that American women had the suburban life of the nuclear family and they didn't have to work in factories and they were always beautiful and they had nice clothes. And so that whole, leave it to beaver type of mom was propagated as a propaganda against communism. And this movie is kind of saying, like, hey, we want to get back to that. We want to get love again. We want to be a family. We're not having it and we're unhappy. And so he's making a parody of saying, like, is that really true? Are you really true? Now,
Is
we
he
all
really?
know that women of color and poor women were definitely working in factories, and they were definitely not wearing these wonderful gowns. But we ain't
Pretty
talking
much
about them.
pretty much never stopped working. From the fields of being enslaved all the way now. We're still doing working.
Still working. So this movie really is, that was the thing that they were really trying to push in other films, of the 50s. And that big thing for women of the 50s was just get married. Get
Mm-hmm.
married. And the main thing about getting married was having kids. So in the 50s, do you realize that most women, 80% of women, were pregnant within the first 7 months of their marriages?
Mm-hmm.
And then would go on to have like decades worth of pregnancies until the pill came out. But
Mm-hmm.
this is what was going on in the 50s, and here we are in this movie saying we want to get back to love and we want our men. And
Oh
I think,
man.
yeah, Charles Beaumont is like going like, yeah, is that really, yeah, I don't know if that's
I
really what
got
y'all
something
want.
for you. Okay. Okay.
So, that's another point, that this was really written by a Oscar. Well, Charles Beaumont is like a speculative fiction, sci-fi, horror. I mean, he is just a classic. He's got number of short stories, like you say, all of these Twilight Zone films, everything, comic books, you
Yeah.
name it, he
He's
has
on
written
it.
it. Right.
He's on
Seven
it.
Faces of Dr. Lau, which I definitely saw in the movie theater. Dean Koontz said about him, Charles Beaumont was one of the seminal influences on writers of the fantastic and the macabre.
Mm-hmm.
Seminal.
I
So
love his unit. Yeah.
yeah. So there you go with who wrote this film. Now another thing about this is that, like you said, Fran, this becomes a cult classic, and
Mm-hmm.
one of the ways it becomes a cult classic is really through drag, and the drag queens absolutely glommed on to Zsa Zsa, the outfits, the mask, everything. In fact, RuPaul has a whole episode of RuPaul's Drag Race. There is an entire episode of Queens from Outer Space where they all dress up
I've
like the
seen
women
that
in
one.
this.
I didn't see that one.
Oh my God. Go on YouTube, put in Queens of Outer Space RuPaul. It will
Okay.
all come up. There's even a fight
Okay.
scene between they were arguing between what is camp and what is glam. They were just going
Okay.
off. And
Okay.
so yes, 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 yes. The drag queens take it. And then they also added this film into a lot of like the worst, films and like these kind of marathon movies at on the weekends and like, some film festivals, and Queen of Outer Space was always included in the list. And so it started to get like this fame. And people were like, you know what, this movie isn't it isn't that bad. It's actually visually stunning. It's got
It
some great
is.
costumes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay, it's got like ridiculous, and they're trying to say something in a really kind of subversive way about what was going on in the 50s and how it's like, nah, maybe we don't want the nuclear family coming back and all this stuff because I don't know what good that's going to do us here. But it's really interesting that they did really kind of say, all right, the fears of the 50s, they had this anxiety in the 50s
Mm-hmm.
of women going back into the workforce. Like the men had come back from World War II, the women had been Rosie the Riveter and all this stuff. The men are like, you better get back in that kitchen, you better start having my babies. It's sounding like a little something we're hearing now. Everybody wants to go back to make America great again. You want us barefoot in the kitchen again, and that is what they wanted. That is what they wanted. They were afraid of women entering the workforce in the 50s, and they tried to promote this whole idea of the nuclear family, and that, there was this tremendous pressure on women to marry and get pregnant, just like they're trying to do again with us. But this also paved the way for films like Barbarella
Mm-hmm.
and Flesh Gordon. So, a lot of people were inspired by these really technicolor quiche. I mean, you got Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. You've got what else
Oh,
comes out?
another one of my favorites.
Crab Monsters. I mean, all these B films
All
that
these, yeah. Oh my gosh.
trained a lot of people. Now, as I stated earlier, Poverty Row was a thing. They knew they were Poverty Row, but it was also necessary because a lot of film distributors couldn't afford these A movies like Ben Hur and all these big movies. You couldn't afford to put this in your theater, so they needed these cheaper movies to
Fell
keep
in.
people coming
Mm-hmm.
back, right? So these movies fed a need. So they would make these less expensive movies, and there were a lot of stars who didn't get the break to work for MGM and Paramount. You didn't get that first you weren't sitting there at Schwab's and you're Lana Turner and they saw you there and there you go. So people that came out of Poverty Row, believe it or not, Poverty Row movies were Ginger Rogers, Robert Mitchum, and like I said, the other way, you were going back after you had made it big and then your career had stalled. Boris Karloff goes back to these Charlie Chan movies. They're all made by these guys. So, these movies really had its place in Hollywood production
Mm-hmm.
and
At the
in the
time.
theater. Yeah. Yeah. So they were serving they was trying to say something about Americana. They were trying to keep theaters open, keep these
Mm-hmm.
theater distributors,
And butts in the seats. Mm-hmm.
yep, butts in the seats.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very, very critical that you had these Poverty Row theaters, Poverty Row classics. So the other thing I want to talk about in this is that one of the important things about these films is that, oh, I already talked about that. They were launching pad for all of these stars. Now, the film itself, okay, when we're going through the plot, I love the way they explained how they knew they were on Venus.
The yeah, the scientists,
The
the
scientists
doctor.
definitely they did not have Dr. Muhammad Noor
No,
working
they
for
did
them as a
not.
consultant. They couldn't afford Muhammad. Muhammad, you would have been like, nah, that's not enough money for me. Or Neil deGrasse Tyson, they didn't
No,
have
they didn't know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I love when they decide, he goes, well, how do you know where we are? And the guy goes, well, the gravity is only like 8.8 of what Earth is.
Yeah.
So we're not on Earth. I was like, okay. Then he's like, so we are either on, and he names some other thing. And so the guy says, well, let's go out and see. I'm like, wait, no,
Mm-hmm.
put on the suit. What are you doing?
They walked out.
They just walked out. But they knew it was this. They knew it was this, almost the same as Earth. So because the gravity was almost the same as Earth, so was the atmosphere, so was the temperature, so was everything else. I was like, I don't know if it follows like
All
that.
in one
Maybe I'm
swoop.
wrong.
All in one swoop, so they wouldn't have to put on, cover them up and all that. They
They
didn't
didn't
have the
have any
money to
money.
do that. They didn't
They
have the
didn't have
money.
any money for that. Even Star Trek didn't have any money for that. That one
No, they
where
didn't.
that Kirk was on a Defiant and they had those silver suits. Those were
Yeah.
so handmade, taped up.
Oh my
They
God.
didn't have any money for any pressure
Mm.
suits.
No, they didn't. So they
Not
just
like
went
they
on
do
up.
now. Not like they do now. Strange New Worlds. My boy was wearing his battle suit the whole episode. Yeah, we got money now. But back
Millions. Okay.
back then, not quite so much. And I love the way they just explained the science away. They was like, well, Venus is supposed to be so many degrees below, and it's supposed to have this,
Uh-huh.
no air and this and that. And the guy says,
Oh,
well, I guess it doesn't. I was like,
yeah. He said the cloud cover kept us from seeing it. So, that was the cloud
right,
cover. The
cloud
cloud
cover.
cover stopped us from actually seeing the planet. Uh-huh.
I'm like,
Okay.
Charles Beaumont did not write that line. He did not write that line.
Speaking of, what? We have not mentioned the male lead in this picture.
No, we haven't.
And his name is Eric Fleming. And he played in, because back in the late 50s and early 60s, Westerns ruled TV. And he was in Rawhide. He
Love it.
was Gil Favor
Yeah,
in
buddy.
Rawhide. And okay, just look up at Clint Eastwood and Rawhide will come up, or look up Rawhide and Clint Eastwood will still come up first. But he was the lead in that show. Rawhide was one of his little helpers. I mean, excuse me, Clint Eastwood, same Clint was one of his little helpers. So he was the male lead in this movie.
Yeah,
Eric
what
Fleming.
was Clint's name was he had a little nickname or something.
Rowdy. He was Rowdy.
Rowdy Gaines. Rowdy
Rowdy
Gaines.
Yates.
Rowdy Gaines.
No,
Clint
no,
Eastwood.
Rowdy Yates.
Oh, Yates. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
Roddy
sorry.
Yates.
Rowdy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. See. I know my Ponderosa better than I know my.
I know you do,
I know my.
but the tragic thing about Eric Fleming was that he died at 41.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
he
did not know
drowned.
that.
Yeah, he drowned. I knew he died early, but I couldn't remember how it was. But he drowned. He went to make this movie, and there was a water scene or something like. Anyway, he drowned
No, he
at
died on the
41.
set.
He died making a movie. Yes,
Oh my God, I did not
at
know
40.
that.
At 41. Yes.
Let's have a moment of silence for him.
Yeah, and yeah,
I'm not even lying. I feel so badly when people are told to do something for a movie and, you know, something doesn't go right.
yeah. Two. It was him and another guy that was doing this water scene, and the other guy got out, but he got
Oh,
swept away. He got his body. He got swept away, and they found him 3 days later. So
oh my God.
yeah,
That is horrific.
yeah. Name of the movie was High Jungle. So yeah, 41. But he was
And
in
they
this
and they
movie.
ended up finishing the movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And he was, in this movie to me, he was like, I really, I thought, I mean, when I was a girl looking at it, it was funny and everything, but when we get grown, we get analytical. He was like, "What am I doing here? Why am I kissing Zsa Zsa Gabor? What am I doing here?" But he gave it his all.
He
He
did.
gave it his all.
He did the
He gave
best he
it his all.
could.
He
You believed
did with
him.
what he had.
You
Because
believe that he was.
the men didn't change. Their outfits didn't change at all.
I thought his scenes with the Queen were really good
They
because
were.
when he
They were.
walked in, and so he gets the pep talk in the captured, and his
Mm-hmm.
crew is telling him, "You got to get us out of here. Tell that Queen
Mm-hmm.
whatever you got to tell her." They were like,
But get
"Put
us
put on
out
the
of here.
put on the black magic kind of romance, and come on, let's go. They're looking for men." And he's like, "Well, I don't know if I can do that," but my boy, all of a sudden, he figured out how to do it. So he's in there, and when he walked in, the Queen comes out of her compartment, and she's wearing this, killer outfit, and she's got the mask on. We don't know why she's got the mask on. Even Zsa Zsa in the movie doesn't know why she's wearing the mask. And
Mm-hmm.
so she's very beautiful. And the first thing I thought of was Spock walking into the Romulan commander's quarters in Star Trek in the
Mm-hmm.
Enterprise
See what?
incident
Mm-hmm.
because it was like the same scene. I'm
Same,
like, okay,
same
Spock,
thing.
you got to get Kirk out of here. You got to do something. You got to say something. Whatever
You
this
gotta do
woman is
something.
telling you, you better just
Yeah.
go along.
You gotta save them.
You got to
And let's
save
not
him.
forget the nipple show. How he went in there with the queen. How Will Riker went in there with the queen, and he basically did the same thing. But I
Yep.
think and they were laughing at him and everything. But he took one for the
Took one
team.
for the team.
Mm-hmm.
Even
Just
though in both of them, I think they were kind of enjoying it by the end. I mean,
yeah, yeah, a
they were
little
like,
bit. Yeah, I think
"Oh,
they
this
were.
is this is all right. I can do
I
this."
think Spock really enjoyed it,
Right,
even though no emotions. Okay.
right. So I mean, the dialogue was just killer. I mean, if I heard the word gizmo one more time, and the way they talked about the women not being able, what did the guy say? I actually wrote it down. He said, "How would a bunch of women invent a
Oh,
gizmo like that?"
like that. Come on, Captain. These are women we're
Because
talking
they
about.
blew up the
Basically,
space
what he.
station. Okay,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Venus
they
women
did.
blew up the space
At space
station,
station, they
trapped
did,
them in a tractor beam, and brought their asses
and
to
brought
Venus.
them
And these
to
guys are like,
Venus. Women
these.
did this. No way. Oh yeah, women did it. They did it.
And then he says, "How could they? How could they invent it? How could they invent it? How could they even aim it?" I said, "Oh my God! Like, what are they saying?" I
But
mean,
you standing on Venus talking about, you know, doubting that they did this, but
yeah,
they
your
got
ass is
your baby.
trapped in
Yeah,
Venus.
you
Okay,
you right there. That's where you
so
are.
let's figure it out because you're running now. You're running through the jungle from the women with ray guns and silhouette heels. So
That's right.
I'm just trying to say,
That's right.
which was actually a tense scene. They actually revved up the tension when they were trying to get away. I was feeling a little Logan Runish. I was like, oh, here we go. It's Logan's
Oh
run.
yeah,
They're going
Logan
through this shit. I was
running,
like, my
running,
God.
running because they were afraid. They.
I was afraid for them because these women were gonna. That blaster was not kidding. It,
Not
it
at all.
what she took that one girl. She said, "Oh, the trader girl, the one that helped them
Mm-hmm.
the first time. She was in the blue outfit." And they said, "Oh yeah, yeah." The queen goes, "Oh yeah, that's okay. No, I know everybody can make a mistake once. Go back to your post." Girlfriend
Mm-hmm.
turned her back for a minute and got a blaster in the back. I said, "Oh,
Gone,
Queen is not playing."
gone.
Shot
I
her girl in the back. Let her think it was like a Conan the Barbarian kind of move. Just when you think I've lulled you to think it ain't nothing gonna happen.
You know,
So this movie was ripe with Star Trek remembrances, yeah, all over the place. I swear, just do the drinking game. Anytime a scene reminds you of Star Trek, chug your mock cocktail.
you're gonna be waterlogged or drunk. One of
By the end of this movie, because there was even like the floor in the room that had the beta degenerator
them.
looked
Mm-hmm.
like Gamesters of Triskelion, looked like the arena that they were fighting in. I mean, it just was too much Star Trek. It was too
Oh,
much TOS for me to understand that somebody from TOS didn't see this movie.
they had
And
to.
Forbidden Planet,
They had to have.
they had
They
to
had
have.
to.
They
Yeah.
had to have. So to
And
in
the
conclusion,
period in this movie was supposed to be 1985.
yes.
Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be 1985 that
We
this was
both
supposed
did
to
the
happen.
quick math and figured
I
that
did it
out.
quickly. I had to write it down because I couldn't
I
do it
did
in my
too.
head. But I'm like, 23 years, 1985. Okay, there we go. Mm-hmm.
And they had some really great second unit film of the takeoff.
That was great. Now
I did
that
not
wasn't
recognize
special.
that machine.
Me neither, but that didn't look like special effects to me. That looked like an
No,
actual launch.
that was a real
And
launch.
yeah, in the beginning, I'm like, oh, okay, they got a real launch here. Okay,
I think
so
they
when they
probably
get in,
stole it from some
it's
other
when they
movie.
get into outer space is when the stuff goes,
A little
boom,
cartoony. It got
boom,
cartoony.
yeah, mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Well, those are the women trying to aim at the space station.
They kept, yeah,
I was like,
they
where are
kept
these beams coming from? They were
coming
coming
from.
from all over. Finally, they were like, got it.
Got it.
Boom.
Bam.
And the queen of Venus was like, look, I know you all. Another thing that I got out of this, they had been watching Earth for decades.
Yeah.
How many times have we heard that in a Star Trek?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We've been watching.
The Vulcans, everybody, we've been
Mm-hmm.
watching you for
We've been.
decades. They
Mm-hmm.
That's why which I thank you that they explained why they spoke English. You know,
Mm-hmm.
she said, "Well,
Because
we've
I
been
thought it was gonna be
watching you
some kind
forever."
of translator. But no, it
Right,
was
because they started speaking, Venetian or whatever it was.
whatever. Yeah, we heard a
Venusian.
little bit of that. And they
And
started
then they switched to
speaking.
English, and I was like, "Oh, they
Mm-hmm.
got a universal translator." And then they said, "Oh
Mm-hmm.
no, we've been watching your films, or we've been watching you for forever." Oh, one thing I want to shout out in this: there was one piece of design. I don't know where this set piece came from, but it was the television monitor.
Oh, and then okay, go
What?
ahead.
Go ahead. No, take it, Fran.
It it was a screen like we have now. Because they don't even have that in any of the tracks. All of the computers are
That
kind
was
of
an
thick.
Apple monitor
It
right
sure
from
was.
today. If I
I
ever
said,
saw
look
one,
at
I
that
was like,
monitor. Oh my God. And it was gold.
it was
But
gold.
it was gold, but it was the monitor. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at that monitor. I'm like,
Again,
this is
something I never
something.
noticed until now that I'm rewatching it, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
that is a dead up Apple monitor
Mm-hmm.
if I've ever seen one. The platform, the
The
way it
leg,
came
the
up,
neck,
the neck,
and the
everything. I was
screen.
like, okay, the Apple people saw this movie too.
They did. Mm-hmm.
And this is why B movies are important. This is
Mm-hmm.
why Queen of Outer Space is
Just
important.
listen to us, believe us, because they are important.
They inspired so much. Even the schlock inspired so much because this is Oscar DNA schlock. These people that made this film were not, bozos. These guys, even though they were on Poverty Road, they were doing all this stuff. They knew their craft. They had foresight, vision. They were definitely working on a tight budget, but they were making something that was absolutely unmistakable. So kudos to everyone that works in B Hollywood Pictures that worked in them. God bless you all. People that actually gave their lives for Hollywood movies. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People who wrote for, the studios and actually wrote for all these other TV shows. I mean, thank you, thank you, thank you for giving us all of this stock and context and content that we now have and can enjoy with the best of them. So, Fran, any parting
Mm-hmm.
words on Queen of Outer Space?
No, and actually, Zsa Zsa wasn't the queen, but
No,
she had top billing.
of course
She
she
had
was.
top billing, but she wasn't the queen. And I just think it's a good, it's, I think for me, it's a guilty pleasure because when I went to look at it, I could have looked at it for 99 cents or buy it for $6. I bought it.
Uh-oh.
I said, anytime I want to look at this because it reminds me of, we used to have a movie thing that came on here after the cartoons went off on Saturday morning called Duo. And they would show these old movies, and they showed this one, me and my brother, with the Queen of Outer Space.
Yes.
For him, it was right up there with Jason and the Argonauts.
Oh,
Okay,
another good one.
yeah, but yes, it is. But I mean, we would be sitting there rap, look, and we didn't have, and we didn't have a color TV when I was a girl. We had black and
Oh,
white,
yeah.
and it was shot in CinemaScope. So they look great on our panel TV, our TVs we have now. But then,
Yes.
the sides were cut off where they pan, you know. So I
But
really like that. And when Sabrina said she, way back when I was, shooting moves around and I said, why don't we do Queen of Outer Space? And we both laughed at the same time. So it was a great movie even though, it reminded me, even though it was science fiction, it reminded me of, which I look at every day, Perry Mason, which was started in 57. This movie was made in 58, and Rawhide was 59. So I think it's a great movie. Don't be serious when you look at it because it's not a
no,
serious movie.
not a
The
serious movie,
bones
but
of it is serious,
yeah,
but the overall of it, it's not.
the
It's not.
production of it is serious. I mean,
It
this
is.
is not a
It
this
is.
is not a this is not a throw together movie. I mean, they did the best they could with what they had,
With
and
what they
it's
had.
amazing what they did with this movie. So, cardboard sets, crazy, see-through shoes, whatever it is, it's a classic. It is definitely a sci-fi classic.
It
And
is.
so, one last shout out. I want to give a shout out to the person who actually did the makeup for the queen when she took her mask off. Whoever designed that mask and what was under that mask. Chef kiss. Oh my God.
Yes.
That to this day, when she takes off that mask, I scream.
But the eyelashes remind me of today's eyelashes. Okay. I had to put that in
Yeah, well, for real. The movie is so like I'm telling you, just watch that RuPaul one. I mean, they all are
there.
still
Okay.
channeling Jaja. They're still channeling Jaja. So anyway, all right, that's our take on Queen of Outer Space and why you should watch it, why you should know it, and why you should appreciate it. And Fran, we're gonna go to our little favorite little thing that we do here at the end: 6 degrees to Star Trek. And let me tell you, this was a hard one. Okay, here we go. 6 degrees to Trek, and I'm talking from Zsa Zsa Gabor. All right, wow, this took me a minute to figure out. So in the first position, we have Zsa Zsa Gabor, who actually did a cameo in an incredible film called Touch of Evil from 1958. Now, because this is a B movie that we're talking about, my 6 degree list is going to give you like the A-list movies. All right, we got everybody on this list. I went around the block to give you some good names. From Zsa Zsa Gabor's cameo in Taste of Evil, where she plays a stripper, this film was directed by the great Orson Welles, who is one of my personal favorites. And Touch of Evil is actually preserved in the Library of Congress. Okay, and if you ever watch this film, watch the opening track scene. We talked about tracking scenes in the Attack the Block last CinnCine, but this tracking scene that we have in Touch of Evil will make you go, "How did he do that?" And this is why Orson Welles is so great. So in the second
there. Charlton
position,
Heston is playing a Mexican. Okay. I'm sorry.
yes, there's a
I'm
lot
sorry.
of stuff wrong with this movie, but there's a
I'm
lot of stuff.
sorry.
A lot
I'm
of
sorry.
no, that is. I mean, yeah, they darken him up. They put the brown paint on him, and he's playing a Mexican. We got Charlton Heston in here. It's like, what in the world?
Mhm.
Um, So, Orson Welles got kicked off this movie in post production because they wanted to re edit his shots that was so, you know, crazy and wild. They said it doesn't look like Hollywood movies. It doesn't look like a normal movie. And it was like, yeah, I'm not trying to make it look like a normal movie. I'm trying to do something different. And they re-edited it, and he sued him. It was a big thing, just like Jaja and the Slap. You got Orson Welles always getting kicked off of his production. So Orson, finally gets this movie redone to the director's cut in 1998. Somebody re-edited it, so you can get the original Touch of Evil if you look for the one that has been remastered. So in the third position, we have Orson Welles' favorite leading man and one of my favorite people, Joseph Cotton. I love me some Joseph Cotton. Did you know he was passing? Did you know that?
No,
Yeah, he got a drop. He got a drop. That curly hair. I
I didn't know.
Yeah. Well, they don't talk about it, but we know that he was passing. Anyway, Joseph Cotton was Wells's favorite leading man, and he also was a leading man on stage in two of my favorite, The Philadelphia Story, where he played the original C.K. Dexter Haven. And he also played the original Linus Larrabee in Sabrina Fair, which I'm named after. So, yeah, I love me some Joseph Cotton. He is in the third position. So, in the movie, Citizen Kane, which was Orson Welles' Oscar nominated 9 Oscars, but since it was a story of Randolph Hearst, which is the equivalent of Rupert Murdoch, this movie just got the kibosh, so it ended up winning just best screenplay. But this is considered by some to be the greatest American movie ever made. I don't know if I believe that, but it's pretty daggone good. So, third position, we have Joseph Cotton in Orson Welles' most famous from 1941, Citizen Kane. If you are not writing these movies down, what is wrong with you? You need to write these movies down, because if you haven't seen them, I'm going to give you a couple more. Joseph Cotton was also in The Third Man, and he was in The Magnificent Ambersons with the Mercury Theater Players. Yes. So we go from the third position to the fourth position because Joseph Cotton made a film that I love later in his life called Soylent Green from 1973. People of food. What is it? What did Charlton Heston say? We got Charlton Heston again.
Charlton Heston.
Soylent Green is people. We need to do that one on this show. Soylent Green. Soylent Green. Yes, Joseph Cotton plays a rich billionaire who is got, everything that he wants, and he's eating jelly, and he's got all kinds of stuff, and people are starving all down below. They're eating Soylent Green, and he's got food and meat and everything. But I think they get his ass in this movie. Don't they kill him or something? I can't remember. But he's in this movie with the wonderful and incredible Edward G. Robinson, Eddie G., who I love. I mean, that is one of my favorite actors in the world. And yeah. Don't get us started. Please do not don't get me started, Frank, because we're gonna be the longest 6 degrees ever. And so Eddie G makes a movie with George Raft and Marlena Dietrich in 1941, again, same year that Citizen Kane was made, called Manpower. And this is a definite, criminal. Here we go. But Marlena made all kinds of movies. She did everything. She made 6 movies with John Wayne. She made as many movies with John Wayne as Maureen O'Hara did.
Oh.
And people always associate him with Maureen O'Hara. And I am like, if you haven't seen Pittsburgh with John Wayne and Marlena Dietrich, you need to check that one out. And apparently the story goes that Marlena Dietrich was sitting in the commissary of the studio, and John Wayne walked in, and she said to the producer, "Daddy, that's what I want for Christmas. I want that."
Okay, Daddy.
Zaddy. So she had a longtime affair with John Wayne. Marlena Dietrich. In the fifth position, Marlena Dietrich is coming off of Edward G. Robinson. So we go from Zsa Zsa Gabor in the first position to Orson Welles in the second position to Joseph Cotton in the third position to Edward G. Robinson in the fourth position. And now we are at the great Marlena Dietrich, and we are connecting them with the movie Judgment at Nuremberg, which is the story of the 1947 judge's trial. And this movie was made in 1961 by the great director Stanley Kramer. And it is a story about how the judges in Germany shirked their duties and allowed the Holocaust to happen. basically. Is this sounding at all familiar?
Hmm.
Whew. So check out Judgment at Nuremberg. One winner of 2 Oscars, one for best screenplay by Abby Mann, and the other best actor by Maximilian Schnell, who wins as the prosecutor. And this movie is taking us to our 6th degree of Trek. And so where else would I go? Coming from, the movie that had to inspire Star Trek, I'm going right to TOS and nobody else but William Shatner, Captain Kirk himself, who plays a young lieutenant in Judgment at Nuremberg. Yes, the Shat, my boy. And there you have it, folks. 6 degrees to Trek. We had to go out. If you're going to come up with a B movie starring Zsa Zsa Gabor, you got to at least run down some A-listers on the 6 degrees and get to Trek. Get to Trek with Captain Kirk. You need to stay on the A-list on this one. And there you have it, folks. Thank you for joining me and my bestie friend for another trip in a movie that only the two of us love. But we hope that you will check it out. Take a look at it.
Please
It is
do.
on Prime. It's on
It is.
it's on Apple. It's everywhere. You can get this movie and take a look at it and appreciate what B movies are all about and what they have inspired in us going forward, even all the way to Madonna. So thank you for joining us. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about thank you for being part of this amazing community. And if you're new, make sure to subscribe, like, and ring the bell so you don't miss our great guests and sci-fi movies. If you want your brand in front of a passionate, movie-savvy audience, sponsoring CinnCine Goes SyFY is a unique chance to connect with loyal consumers who love sci-fi and insider insights from directors, screenwriters, and superfans like me and Fran.
Mhm.
Whether you're a small business or an individual, it's a great way to reach out to an engaged community. I love you, my chatters. I so love you. Click on the link in the show below in the description or visit us on sci-fi sisters.com/sponsors to learn more. And so, everyone, good night again from CinnCine and Fran T. Good
Good
night.
night.